Hello there, extraordinary thinkers. Lee Travathan here. So, we're kind of off course, I guess you'd say, with our current video lineup because of what happened at our nation's capital recently. Kind of threw all of us, or at least the people I know, off. And some of us have sort of changed the routine that we normally do with our videos, and of course, me being one of those, because I'm extremely sensitive to the things that happen around me, and quite often I just need to comment on them because people ask me questions, etc. So in my last video, I sort of put out a statement, I guess you would call it, very emotional statement, to friends of mine who have supported the recent coup. And that was a coup, if you didn't know that. It's been called like a riot that got out of hand and all sorts of things, some sort of very interesting titles, but it was an attempted coup. So, an insurgence, I guess you could call that. So, I put out a very passionate video, and about 100 of my friends have watched that at my request, and I've gotten some feedback on that. So I just want to tell you what the fallout has been on taking an action like that. And people have said, should I do that too? Well, I can't tell you what you should and shouldn't do really on something like that. But what I can say to you is, for me personally, I needed to do that. I needed to make a statement to my Trump follower, Trump fan, Trumpster friends. That's all I can say, is that I wasn't okay with what happened at the Capitol. I'm not going to be okay with what happened at the Capitol. In my opinion, it was all preventable. But I think for us to understand a little bit better what actually happened there, you also have to understand a little bit about why it happened. So I'm going to be putting a video down below that I recently saw that helped me understand this a little bit better, and it was about Alex Jones. Not a fan. I'm a fan of truth, not lies. So yeah, I don't like what he did to help support and fuel and build the flames like he did. And it's unfortunate that I have friends that bought into every lie he ever told and believed all of it was true, which tremendous amounts of it have been disproven, completely disproven. So why I wanted to do a follow-up video today is to sort of highlight a couple of things that I saw friends of mine doing, and then to also answer a question that was asked on my Facebook page. So first things first. The thing I want to highlight is something in ordinary thinking that is called all or nothing thinking. Now what that means is that you pick an agenda, and then you decide that everything within that agenda is correct, making you correct, making you right. So even if evidence to the contrary is presented to you, you don't honor it, respect it, you just ignore it. So what we saw happening in my family, on my end of the stick, was I had friends and family members that had bought into this all or nothing perspective, meaning that, for instance, one of my friends, being very clear that I lean more liberal and I lean more Democrat. However, I do not actually associate myself directly with any party. I just want what's best for the country. But if I am going to vote, it's probably that I'm going to lean one way or the other, depending on the candidate. So, of course, you know, this most recent election, I voted Biden because I just thought it was the better perspective for healing. But what one of my friends said to me was, I can't trust you because you buy into the ideas of the far left. So I can no longer trust you because all people who lean into the far left are bad, evil, despicable, disgusting people. And of course, my question was, well, what about me? Oh, no, you're different. So I had a good laugh over that, because I thought, okay, overgeneralization and all or nothing thinking, you put those two things together, they don't really work. So this person was saying, I'm okay because they know me, is really what they were saying. So without them even realizing what they were doing, by saying, all people like me are all bad, evil, terrible, despicable people, they're disqualifying what they're saying. So let's take a look at that. Can it be true? Can it really be true that all Democrats are bad people? Can it be true? It can't be true, because you would find at least one in the bunch who's a really great person, kind of like me. I'm sorry, I'm just having fun with this because it's funny. But you also can't say all Republicans are bad people. I have Republicans that are friends of mine that I know deep, they're amazing, wonderful people. So you can't overgeneralize any of these situations and say, oh, it was the right that did this, or it was the left that did this. This candidate's correct and this candidate's horrible. You can't do that, because you can't find evidence of what you're saying, which was what cracked me up about my friend. Is like, she's saying one thing, but then she's giving evidence against it in the same conversation. She's saying, I'm right and I know it, but then she's giving evidence against herself. So it was pretty funny. But what I learned is that I cannot support the ideas of people that support the ideas of people who set out intentionally to do harm to others. So when I saw friends of mine supporting the coup, even before it occurred, and I knew something very, very bad was going to happen, I had to speak up. It didn't help, and it still doesn't help, because they still support what happened. So my reality had to be, I can't support these people. And it isn't that they're bad people. It isn't that they're wrong. It's that in my eyes, I can't support the agenda. I can't support the idea that some lies were told to you, and even when the evidence of truth was given to you, proving that those were lies, you wouldn't accept it, because you were like riding your horse. You weren't going to slow down. You were on your track and you weren't going to slow down. So I had some issues with that. So the fallout from letting go of friends of mine that did support the coup and did support the person who led the coup, which we all know who that was, has been very interesting. What I noticed is the people who had done work with me in extraordinary thinking, that I realized just didn't really get it. They just didn't get it. Like, you can't keep your vibration high and be hating people at the same time. You just can't do that. This is not possible. So I was concerned about them the most, of how they would react to me letting them go. But it was very interesting, because the basic reaction has been, hey Lee, I love you and I honor and respect your decision. Basically meaning that we're still really connected. So what I know is that even though they didn't get what I was saying about extraordinary thinking and vibration, they were at least willing to allow me to have my space and not continue to associate with them, just as they realized I was allowing them to have their space and continue to do whatever they felt they had to do. Now, the other side of that, the flip side of that, is that most of the people that I contacted and said, hey, look, I love you, but this is what I've got to do for me. I've got to break off this friendship right here, right now, and here's why. It's hard to say some of the things I'm having to say. That's why I'm kind of really hesitating here. It was let me put this way. It was very interesting to me to see that some of the people, after reading what I sent to them, thought it over very deeply and said, you know what? She might have a point here. I might have gone too far. I might have believed some lies without really being willing to hear the truth. I might have supported someone who was not actually supporting our country. I might have bought into some of this Alex Jones stuff a bit too much. And so I did get some people coming back to me and saying, you know what? Thanks for shaking me out of my hypnosis. I'm kind of seeing some other things now. And yeah, I am sorry that I had anything to do with any of this. So all this being said, there were two elements that were very much involved in this situation. One of the basic ordinary thinking elements, and one of the reasons why I say ordinary thinking doesn't work very well, is the all or nothing thinking. So I've got to do this. I've got to storm the Capitol because those evil liberals and Democrats are taking over our country. That's all or nothing thinking. So what if in that moment that they were thinking that, something in their brain would have went, well, wait a minute. Is that really true? Is it really true? Because what they would have come to is they simply disagreed with what liberals or Democrats, whoever their beef was, simply disagreed with what they were doing or saying. And really that was the molehill that got turned into a mountain. They just disagreed, but they did not have the ability to know how to disagree. They couldn't just say, well, you know, I disagree with you. They had to take an action and fight, fight, fight. Of course, they were being fueled all the time by someone who was saying fight, fight, fight. So I'm happy to see some people kind of waking up from this hypnosis. But the overgeneralization also came into play. Again, the problem with the ordinary thinking with overgeneralization is the facts aren't checked. So overgeneralization was, we have to do this to save our country. It's the only way. The reality was much different because there were other ways to speak up. You could have done a peaceful protest, for instance, that would be one way, but there were other ways to speak up. And it never was that there was only one way. The difficulty with overgeneralization is somebody chooses something, focuses on it, and it expands, but they don't stop the expansion when the expansion gets out of hand. So that's a big problem. So I just wanted to come in today because a few people have been asking, am I okay? Because my last video was extremely emotional. In fact, I did it at my computer instead of over here in the little studio area. It was extremely emotional because all this had just happened, and I had started to realize that yes, not only do I not want to remain friends with people who supported this, but I don't want to do business with them either, and I'm still there. That may not change, I don't know, we'll see. But ordinary thinking was a huge part of what happened in this whole scenario. So the fallout is, some is positive, some is sort of, on the fence, but so far none of the fallout has been what I would be considering negative. Now, I did lose followers here at YouTube, but that's not going to make me lose any sleep, because the whole point of this YouTube channel is to help people grow, expand in a positive way, and to honor themselves to the best of their abilities, and all others to the best of their abilities. So there will just be other people who want to learn that, and will come on here. So that's sort of my take on my last video that people have been asking about, and I just hope we heal. You know, I want to see our country mended. I do know this is going to take a long time. And I say that only because, well, I'll give you an example. You know, Adolf Hitler has been dead a very long time. The KKK is more alive than ever, you know, than ever. So Nazis will always exist, probably, more than likely. Just because, you know, as my grandpa used to say, somebody left the barn door open and the horse got out. So that we're always going to have this. There's no magic pill. There's no, you know, somebody's going to go like this and everything's going to be fine. I was asked this past week, just as an end note here, someone said, couldn't extraordinary thinking fix this whole situation? Well, yes, it could. Yes, it could. It absolutely could. However, for that to happen, people have to be willing. And we are a society of a lot of big egos, and there are people who are never going to be willing to really explore their options in thinking because they have to be right. So their minds aren't open. So here's what we get. So I do hope that you are well. I do hope you stay safe. And until next time, this is Travathan. Catch you then. Bye.